Coming up first at 4.
Right here on WJZ. A major traffic headache on a Maryland major highway. Parts of I-95 still shut down after an oil tanker flips over. The detours you need to know about.
I'm Bob Tick Weather Center, where we're tracking some winter precipitation on the way and maybe more for the weekend.
The shutdown showdown intensifies. I'm Nicole Killian at the White House with why the president and House Speaker are going at it again.
Live from Television Hill, this is WJZ Breaking News.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala.
And I'm Vic Carter. We are following breaking news in Cecil County, where parts of I-95 are back open after they were closed for hours due to an overturned tanker.
Now, Chopper 13 over the highway now, where all of the southbound lanes are open. This is near Elkton, we are told, within the last half hour on the northbound side. The right lane reopened, but the center and left lanes remained closed.
And here's what the scene looked like just hours ago around 1 o'clock. You can see the overturned tanker that was carrying crude oil lying along the side there. One person was trapped inside, and it took crews about an hour to get them free.
And they were flown to a nearby hospital. No word on their condition right now or what caused this crash. Coming up, we will check in with Christy Breslin at WJZ Traffic Control to see if there are any residual delays. Well, the other big story we are talking about today, the first of 2 storms closing in on Maryland.
In just a couple of hours, a winter weather advisory will go into effect. Take a live look outside right now. While it's dry for now, it's going to get messy.
Let's check in with Bob Turk for the very latest on this system.
All right, this is nothing like we had last weekend, by the way, but it's going to cause some issues later on tonight. Take a look at temperatures. Most places are just above their freezing mark, which is a good thing. A few spots still at or just near freezing. West of us, Oakland certainly colder, a lot warmer south of us, where we don't expect to see much of frozen precipitation. There's a batch of moisture moving in. Right now, it's too dry. None of it is actually reaching the ground. But a little bit later on, probably even as early as 6 or 7, you might start seeing some snowflakes, particularly from Baltimore north and west. And that's why that we do have, in fact, for the region, a winter weather advisory in effect from 6 o'clock tonight until 4 a.m. tomorrow, including Anne Arundel County, PG County, Northern Virginia, and all the areas from Susquehanna west. We'll see some snow accumulations overnight. Generally, from the city south and east, less than an inch, maybe just a trace. Around the city, perhaps just a coating to maybe an inch, 1 to 2 north and west, with more as you get into far western Maryland. So this is for tonight and tomorrow morning. You may have some delays, obviously, in the morning. What about the weekend? Tim, let's look at the next track, perhaps coming our way Saturday into Sunday. Tim?
Well, this is definitely an active pattern here. We're with the WJZ Mobile Weather Lab. We're in Hamden at Roosevelt Park. Skateboarders behind us, weather not deterring them at all. We're sitting at 33 degrees, just a smidge above freezing. Temperatures are reflecting a bit of an east-southeast wind, 5 miles per hour. The east wind always brings in a little moisture off the bay and the ocean, so it's contributing to the cloud cover, even though the storm system we're looking at is coming in from the west. So it's been a very gray afternoon, but the temperatures have been pretty cold. So let's talk about what's coming our way after tonight. Of course, Bob just talked about what we're expecting tonight into tomorrow morning. Of course, that will create some tricky travel for your rush hour. But let's talk about the weekend setup. We're watching this system that's still just moving in from the Pacific. It's going to be moving across the country, and by Saturday afternoon into Saturday night, we're going to start watching it. Now, the path is still going to fluctuate potentially just a little bit either north or south. Now, as it moves on into our area, there's a chance for wintry precipitation. If it starts to move a bit to the north, well, it'll pull the moisture and the warmth from the south up with it, and we'll see mostly a rain event. If it starts to move to the south, well, it drags that cold air down with it, and we'll see a little bit more snow. Right now, we're calling for a bit of a wintry mix. Rain for Saturday into Sunday, and it looks like after the rain moves out of here, the temperatures will drop, and what we're going to be seeing Sunday into Sunday night, temperatures going down into the single digits, and what's wet on the ground is likely going to freeze as we get into the sundown hours of after about 5 o'clock on Sunday night. So we'll continue to keep you posted, but just know that this is a Saturday night into Sunday event, and then those temperatures get really cold. Bob will have your details coming up in your 7-day forecast in just a few moments. For now, meteorologist Tim Williams with the Mobile Weather Lab here at Roosevelt Park, sending it back to you on Television Hill.
Tim and Bob, thank you both. Remember to download WJZ's weather app to keep track of our changing weather. Get hourly, daily, and extended forecasts plus severe weather warnings. Just search WJZ Weather and get our app. While we're getting ready for powerful snowstorms or storms, in California, another day of wild weather after a week of mudslides, high winds, flooding, and even rock slides.
Mark Liverman shows us some of the impact.
Smashed in metal on the side of this car, the damage after a terrifying night in Malibu, where recent wildfires have left the area prone to mudslides.
Well, I was driving and 4 cars in front of me. This boulder comes down and smacks into this car.
Public Works says the rock weighed between 2 and 3 tons. The victim here taken to a local hospital with a minor head injury. Same story in Northern California, also hit by wildfire. Also now poised for increased damage as heavy rain pounds the region. Evacuations were ordered in Ventura County. Officials set up sandbag locations to redirect stormwater and debris away from homes. In some areas, the winds were so fierce, workers could barely keep their umbrellas together. The powerful Pacific storm also brought heavy snow to mountain regions, which led to this.
Well, at approximately 9 o'clock this morning, we had a 25-car pileup.
Mark Liverman, CBS News.
And new at 4, police have now caught the man they say was behind a deliberate hit-and-run crash in Lockern. Investigators say William Brown Jr. knowingly rear-ended another driver at the intersection of Patterson and Wildwood Avenues yesterday. That set off a chain reaction of crashes, ending with one of those cars crashing into a home. 3 people, including a toddler, were taken to the hospital, but they are expected to be okay. Brown, who has been charged with assault and other charges, is currently being held without bail. Well, outrage and confusion tonight in Baltimore after a man charged with murder is out on bail. Earlier this week, a Baltimore district judge granted bail to 48-year-old Philip Stanley West. Judges typically deny bail in murder cases. Last month, police say West and another man got into an argument that started inside the Blarney Stone pub, then spilled out onto the street. At some point, the 2 men went back inside, and that's when police say West opened fire, killing 32-year-old Rodney Beeman. West is now facing several charges, including first-degree murder. And coming up tonight at 5 and 6, WJZ investigator Mike Halgren speaks with the victim's family, as well as the state and city leaders about the judge's controversial decision.
A trial for one of the 4 teenagers charged in the death of police officer Amy Caprio has been postponed. The trial for Eugene Genius was scheduled to start this next week, Genius and 3 others are facing murder charges. 16-year-old Dante Harris is accused of hitting Caprio with a Jeep in May of last year, while investigators say Eugene Genius and 2 others were robbing a nearby home in Perry Hall.
Well, it has been almost a month since the federal government partially shut down, and President Trump and top Democratic leadership in the House appear to be miles apart on funding for border wall security. And now, as Nicole Killian reports for WJZ, the president and House Speaker seem to be involved in a new tit-for-tat dispute.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi made her position about a southern border wall crystal clear during her weekly press conference.
I'm not for a wall. I'm not for a wall.
Pelosi has rejected President Trump's demand for $5.7 billion to build the wall. The standoff has pushed the partial government shutdown into its 27th day. Citing security concerns, Pelosi asked the president on Wednesday to postpone his State of the Union speech until the government reopens.
Any response from the White House on your request on the State of the Union?
No, our request was let's talk about when we can do it at a time when government is open and the people who are here to protect us are getting paid.
Thursday, the president fired off a letter to Pelosi saying her trip scheduled to depart today to Brussels, Egypt, and Afghanistan has been postponed until the shutdown is over. Mr. Trump says he pledged a tougher border security during the campaign, and one way or another, the wall will be built.
Democrat lawmakers will step forward to do what is right for our country. And what's right for our country is border security at the strongest level.
As the partial government shutdown drags on, the State Department says it has found money to pay all of its diplomats and ordered them back to work. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.
Well, some big trouble out there on the roads this afternoon. We've been following the situation in Cecil County. As you can see there, this is the scene. It happened happened around 2:30 this afternoon. An overturned tanker, as you can see, spilled. Right now we have the center lane and the left lane blocked. All lanes were blocked in both directions. Right now they have been reopened, but the problem is if you are heading northbound, you're going to see some significant traffic. So the best bet would be to get off at 272, which is in the Perryville area, and take Route 40 up to 279. Now, as far as the rest of the region goes, we have some slowing there on the west side inner loop. It starts at 95, continuing to Liberty Road. The top side inner loop of the Beltway also having some problems. Very heavy there at York Road. That delay starts back at Park Heights Avenue. If you're traveling along the Harrisburg Expressway, stop and go northbound from Padonia Road to Belfast. Crashes include Wise Avenue at Lynch Road, and then keep an eye out for one in Middle River Road at Philadelphia Road, and that's going to be followed by a crash in Baltimore City. This one, Charles Street at Lake Avenue. So a lot going on out there this afternoon, and that 95 crash, very serious. Luckily, things have been reopened, but take Route 40. If not, you're going to be sitting in traffic for quite some time.
Okay, thanks a lot, Christy.
All right, Christy, thank you. Well, it's that time of the month that many foodies look forward to, Baltimore County's Restaurant Week.
Just hours ago, County Executive Johnny Olszewski and the County Chamber of Commerce came together to kick off the 16-day event. During this time, diners are able to discover new restaurants and enjoy old favorites at discounted prices.
This year, 60 restaurants will feature a fixed price 1 to 3 course brunch, lunch, and dinner menus. Dessert there as well. For a list of participating restaurants, head to our website, wjz.com. That's a great event if you can get a ticket to it.
Absolutely. Anytime that the restaurants are open and draws people out, I mean, it's a good thing for the economy. It's good for the restaurants and for families who want to get out and enjoy a meal.
Exactly. With a discounted price. It's all good. Well, still ahead on WJZ News at 4, a terror plot to blow up the White House, the man police now have in custody, and how they were able to catch him hours before he allegedly set his plan in motion.
Moving forward after an historic defeat, what's next for Britain as the deadline to leave the European Union closes in?
I'm Alex Dimitri. A ceremony 74 years overdue. That story coming up on WJZ.
A wintry mix overnight that could impact your Friday morning commute. Bob is back with a full forecast. A possible terror attack foiled. Investigators say a man planned to attack the White House with explosives and an anti-tank rocket today. The FBI says the 21-year-old from Georgia was radicalized, but a tip last March allowed them to disrupt his plot. According to an FBI affidavit, the suspect initially wanted to travel overseas to areas controlled by ISIS, but because he doesn't have a passport, his plans changed. He was arrested yesterday. The FBI believes he was acting alone.
Tonight, family and friends are paying tribute to Jason Spindler. The Houston native was killed in Tuesday's terror attack in Kenya. Deborah Pata is in Nairobi for WJZ.
Jason Spindler was one of the good guys, say his parents, a former investment banker who survived 9/11 because he was late for work that day. He later gave up a high-powered Wall Street career for the chance to make a difference.
Jason, once you met him, you knew that this guy was going to change the world. He had a way about him that everyone would like him.
That passion for change led him to Kenya, where with co-founder Patricia Chin Sweeney, he started a company that aims to reduce poverty through investing in developing economies.
We believed that you could invest, you could build businesses, and they would actually be a means of stabilizing economies and reducing the need for terrorism.
The company's offices are housed in the complex that was stormed by Al-Shabaab gunmen on Tuesday afternoon. Spindler was having a late lunch there when a suicide bomber blew himself up just a few meters away. It was Kenyans who bore the brunt of this attack. And at the city morgue, their unrelenting grief was raw. Agonized cries for all those lives cut short. And for Spindler's family, that reality hits home on Monday, which would have been his 41st birthday. Security remains tight here at the attack site. Police are not letting people back into the complex yet, as they say there could still be undetonated hand grenades that need clearing. Deborah Pata, CBS News, Nairobi, Kenya.
British Prime Minister Theresa May is searching for a way forward with Brexit after she narrowly wins a no-confidence vote in Parliament yesterday. May is now calling for everyone to put their self-interests aside and find a consensus out of the European Union. She has until Monday to come back to Parliament with a new plan. The deadline for Britain to withdraw from the EU is March 29.
He wasn't sure he would ever receive one, but for a 92-year-old Marine Corps veteran, his World War II Victory Medal finally arrived.
And Alex Dimitrick reports it was a 74-year wait.
Friends gathered in Harmony Hall's lobby, a residential care facility in Columbia. So did 92-year-old Joe Casipo, only he had no idea he was the reason. It had been kept a secret until now.
To honor World War II Marine veteran Joseph A. Casipo with the World War II Victory Medal.
A bureaucratic error corrected 74 years later.
All the veterans from World War II should receive this medal because they're entitled to it.
And Louis Schott never expected.
At the age of 98, I was going to present a medal to a young Marine of 92.
Joe Casipo was 17 when he saw action in Iwo Jima, one of the deadliest battles of the war. Did he think he'd make it to 92 back then?
No, I tell you the truth, I didn't think I'd make it off the island.
But there was little to laugh about in 1945. Nearly 7,000 Marines died on Iwo Jima.
When we went and disembarked, we were 8 Marines in one tent. 6 of those Marines are still there.
The battle raged for weeks after the iconic image of Marines raising the flag on Mount Suribachi. Joe Casipo was wounded 3 times in the battle.
I put a bandage on and I went up to the line. And then I got hit twice more.
The physical wounds healed, but the memories haven't faded.
I've had nightmares all my life, actually, too, since I came home. I have nightmares. Last week I have.
The medal won't stop those nightmares, but it is a tangible reminder of what so many endured to ultimately secure victory. Alex Dimitrick, WJZ.
Wow, what a story.
Yeah, bittersweet for him.
Absolutely.
He does make 92 look young, Joe.
He does,
You're
he does.
looking good, and congratulations.
And we thank you so much for what you did for us.
Yes,
yeah. Coming up at WJZ News at 4, standing firm on Syria even after a targeted attack. But President Trump is saying one day after American troops are killed in a deadly blast.
A puzzling sight, a giant disk of ice in Maine is now gaining international attention. But how did it get there?
And here's a look at today's closing numbers from Wall Street. We'll be right back.
Here we go. Meteorologist Sid Williams here with the WJZ Mobile Weather Lab. We're at Roosevelt Park in Hamden. K2, photographer behind the camera here. Now we're just talking. This just looks and feels like a cold, dead of winter day. And it's a night to pick your favorite beverage to stay warm. Hot chocolate, warm cider, hot tea, hot coffee. Nothing iced for this time. Nothing iced, he said, for this time of day and this time of year. So, Bob, whatever your warm beverage of choice is, this is the night to pull it out.
Well, as soon as it starts doing anything, he's going to let us know. That's where he's outside, we're inside. Right now, temperature around the region where it's colder, definitely going to see a little more activity there, the frozen variety. Waynesboro only 32, Everett only 29, but in Parole and Glen Burnie, you can see we're well above freezing. So south of the city, don't expect to see a whole lot of snow. Right now, the airport, they're just around 34, but the dew point is down to 23, which means as soon as any precipitation reaches the ground, or at least goes through the clouds, it'll cool the atmosphere. So there's a good chance we'll see a little wet snow for a while. May accumulate north and west of the city, as we said, maybe an inch or so, a little bit less than that southeast of us, maybe just light rain here across portions of the bay. 37 now over in Easton, 38 at the beach. They'll probably just see light rain down there. 32, however, in Bel Air, Elkton, anywhere along the northern tier, north and west, that's where we expect to see some minor accumulations, perhaps as much as an inch or two from Westminster, north and west, toward Hagerstown and southern Pennsylvania. Around the city, maybe just a trace to about an inch is possible. And here comes the moisture. Right now, nothing's actually reaching the ground. It's just too dry. But as I mentioned, the dew point is low, which means it's cold aloft, enough for snow. And when it falls through the clouds, temperatures can fall just enough, maybe 31, 32 overnight. So we'll probably see some accumulations, particularly north and west. Maybe a few breaks there. You see a little more activity across Ohio. So we'll be dealing with this tonight through about maybe 6, 7 in the morning before it clears out. This afternoon, still quite a few clouds around the region. We didn't really see any sunshine. Some rain south where it's warmer. Here's a little batch of moisture heading to the region. So we'll have to deal with this tonight into the early morning hours. As I mentioned, we do have a winter weather advisory from the city north and west, and also including AA County and PG County tonight through about 4 o'clock tomorrow morning, early in the morning. Here's that low pressure as it moves across the region. Warm air south of us, cold air to the north, but it will pass. Friday afternoon will clear out, get pretty mild actually in the mid-40s. And then the next weather maker, here it comes. Warmer air coming up the East Coast, generally a rainmaker. It may start as a little bit of snow or mix on Saturday afternoon and then just plain rain Sunday. As it goes through the region, colder air moves in, the rain turns briefly to snow, and then a really blast of cold air headed away for Sunday night and Monday. It's the coldest weather we've seen here in a couple years. We'll show you these temperatures. But high pressure builds in. We'll see slightly milder temps by the middle of next week. So some light snow, sleet, and rain tonight, 31 by morning. More of the frozen north, more of the liquid south, milder, more sunshine. 45 tomorrow, so anything happens tonight will be gone. 39 on Saturday, but 34 with rain. Anything a mix to rain. Rain ends as a little snow on Sunday. 44, 29 for a low on Monday night. 34 warming up for Wednesday and Thursday with maybe a shower here by next Thursday. So really cold shot, but it's only going to be with us for about 2 days.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Bob. But don't forget to tune into the CBS Primetime lineup tonight at 10 o'clock. It's SWAT, followed by WJZ News at 11.
And more news ahead on WJZ News at 4.
One day after American troops are killed in Syria, President Trump speaks to the Pentagon. I'm Mola Lenghi at the White House, where the Trump administration is standing firm on its Syria plans.
Food safety concerns, the startling new report that might have you double-checking how your next meal is prepared.
Live from Television Hill, this is WJZ News at 4:30.
A deadly attack targeting Americans overseas, what President Trump is now saying about the suicide blast in Syria. Hello and thank you for staying with WJZ. I'm Mary Bubala.
And I'm Vic Carter. The president spoke at the Pentagon today, one day after the deadly attack. 2 soldiers, 2 civilians, and at least a dozen Syrians were killed.
Mola Lenghi reports for WJZ. This attack was the single worst loss of American life since U.S. troops went into Syria more than 3 years ago.
President Trump praised the 4 Americans killed in a suicide bombing in the northern Syrian city of Manbij during a speech at the Pentagon.
These are great people, great people. We will never forget their noble and immortal sacrifice.
ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack outside a restaurant where Americans patrolling the city had stopped to eat.
Our hearts and our prayers are with the families.
Despite the casualties, the Trump administration is standing firm on its plan to withdraw 2,000 troops from Syria.
As we begin to bring our troops home, we will do so in a way that ensures that the remnants of ISIS will never be able to reestablish their evil and murderous caliphate.
The Trump administration has said ISIS has been defeated in Syria, even repeating the claim hours after the attack. But some lawmakers here in Washington disagree.
This horrific attack is a stark reminder of the reality of the security threats that we still face around the world.
At the Pentagon, the president outlined new initiatives in missile defense, including plans to protect the nation against ballistic missiles.
We have some very bad players out there, and we're a good player, but we can be far worse than anybody.
Mr. Trump did not provide more details on the troop drawdown in Syria, but said his first duty is the defense of the United States. Mola Lenghi, CBS News, the White House.
Baltimore County police are now investigating after an officer hits a man with his patrol car. This happened just before 4 this morning on Whitehead Road in Woodlawn. Police say the officer was heading to a call when they hit the 31-year-old man who was on a skateboard. The victim was rushed to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. The officer was not hurt.
A minivan crashes through a Prince George's County furniture store, creating a mess, but fortunately no one was hurt. It happened last night at Price Buster Discount Furniture in Adelphi. Investigators say it appears two cars collided on University Boulevard, causing the minivan to go flying into the storefront. Police are now trying to figure out if speed or alcohol played a role in that crash.
Well, be sure you have your warm jacket and gloves handy. The first of two storms headed this way.
Yeah, taking a live look outside right now. It's clear for now, but in a couple of hours, that is going to change.
Let's check in with Bob Turk for all the good news, bad news.
And everything
Most
in
of it's
between.
probably bad news.
Yeah.
We're already seeing some delays, by the way, for tomorrow. We'll
I
talk
know.
about those. Right now, we're looking at 34 degrees at the airport, above freezing. A lot warmer down in Annapolis, 38. D.C. also 38. 36 Frederick. Even out in far western Maryland, 33 in Cumberland and 34 Westminster and Hagerstown, 35. A little bit warmer south of us, mid to upper 30s, but we do have some precipitation on the way. Right now, nothing is reaching the ground, but it is cold enough aloft for this to be frozen for the most part. Southeast of the city, where it's a little bit warmer, and the eastern shore, we're mainly looking for a little bit of frozen precip, but later on tonight, looks like north and west of the city could see some accumulations. Right now, we do have a winter weather advisory going to effect tonight at 6. It lasts until 4 a.m. for anywhere from Bel Air west, Annapolis west and south, and all the areas northern Maryland. None of the eastern shore is under that advisory. Southeast of us, less than an inch, maybe just a trace on the eastern shore. From the Baltimore area north and west, perhaps a coating to an inch around the city. North and west of the Beltway, 1 maybe as much as 2 inches west of Westminster and Hagerstown, with more out in far western Maryland, maybe as much as 2 to 3 inches with this system. But system number 2 is coming in Saturday into Sunday. Tim is going to look at what we may expect this weekend. Tim?
Well, we're here with the WJZ Mobile Weather Lab. We are sitting with temperatures in the 30s right now. Our temperatures here at Roosevelt Park, we're in Hamden, just around 33 degrees, just a little above freezing. Winds coming in from the east, bringing in more cloud cover. Some moisture off the bay and the ocean always reinforces the cloud cover. So even though our storm system tonight into tomorrow is coming in from the west, it's been a very gray afternoon. And add to that the ground is still covered in snow. It's kind of just refrigerating this air. So it's just a very cold, just kind of a chill that goes right through you. And we're going to keep these conditions at least through tonight, and then we're talking about the weekend. Let's give you an idea of what we have coming our way. We've been talking about several systems. Well, the first one tonight into tomorrow. Now tomorrow, after that system tonight clears the area, the sun comes out and it will get sunny through the day. Temperatures will get in the mid to upper 30s to about 40 degrees. But then we start to set our sights on Saturday. We'll have rain moving in on Saturday night into Sunday. Will bring us a decent amount of rain. After that rain clears out on Sunday, well, the track is going to dictate what we have coming our way. By Sunday, well, the temperatures are going to start getting colder. This rain is going to end in snow late in the morning on Sunday, and then it will clear out. But then the temperatures start to drop very rapidly. The overnight low on Sunday into Monday is going to be single digits, just around 9 degrees. Anything that's wet on the ground is likely going to freeze. We call it a flash freeze. So if you're going to be out Sunday night into Monday, just know damp roads are going to freeze very quickly, and we could have very slick conditions. But how much rain, snow mix, wintry mix we get will determine on whether or not this system tracks a little bit farther to the north, bringing us rain, or tracks a little farther to the south, pulling in that cold air and bringing us a little snow. But you can bet on a wintry mix as we get into the early morning hours of Sunday. Bob will bring you more details coming up in your complete forecast in just a few moments. For now, meteorologist Tim Williams with the Mobile Weather Lab in Roosevelt Park in Hampton, sending it back to you on Television Hill.
Remember to download WJZ's weather app to keep track of our changing weather and get hourly, daily, and extended forecasts, plus severe weather warnings. Just search WJZ Weather and get our app. A new report is prompting concerns about the safety of our food. Michelle Miller reports for WJZ. Now, 1 in 6 Americans are getting sick every year from eating contaminated food, with at least 3,000 deaths per year.
It's very sad to see her. She's not herself.
Benjamin Seelig has been married to his wife Karen for almost 55 years, but in October she went into septic shock. The 75-year-old tested positive for the same strand of E. coli linked to romaine lettuce.
We traveled together every year. Sorry. This is not easy.
Seelig says he believes his wife got E. coli from contaminated lettuce at home. The grandmother of 4 spent weeks in the hospital and now lives in a rehab facility.
we should be able as Americans to trust that the food we buy is safe to eat.
Adam Garber is a researcher for the U.S. Public Interest Research Group. Its report found recalls of produce and processed food by the FDA increased about 2% from 2013 to 2018, and the most hazardous meat and poultry recalls by the USDA increased by more than 80%. The report recommends the FDA require testing water used for irrigation or watering of produce for hazardous pathogens like E. coli, and for meat and poultry products declare when antibiotic-resistant strains of Salmonella as an adulterant are found.
There are opportunities to improve and hold companies liable when they are violating food safety plans.
The National Chicken Council told CBS News it hasn't yet seen the report, but says all chicken is safe to eat when properly handled and cooked. And what significantly reduces the threat of Salmonella are food safety plans that the USDA enforces. They also said any increase in recalls could be attributed to tighter government standards, better testing, and technology. The American Association of Meat Processors said procedures and safety plans are already in place to reduce these risks of Salmonella. The Produce Marketing Association declined to comment without seeing the report first. If you'd like more information about food recalls, you can sign up for alerts through the FDA and USDA and ask your local store if they offer alerts as well. Michelle Miller, CBS News, New York.
We are still following breaking news in Cecil County, where crews are cleaning up after an oil tanker flips, causing a traffic nightmare.
Yeah, mess out there. Avajoy Burnett has just arrived at one of the rest areas along I-95 where many people saw the aftermath. Avajoy, how's it look out there?
And you know what? Many of the people who came here along the Chesapeake House, they're coming from 95 South. They say they saw the crash and they were just thankful they were not stuck in that mess. Some people told us the backup was for miles for people who are going 95 north. We want to show you some of this video from earlier today. This crash happened on 95 north, right around exit 109. Officials say a tractor trailer that was carrying crude oil flipped over in the median. Now, this is the significant portion that we have to tell you about. This roadway, both sides, was closed for more than 2 hours. We're talking about I-95 here, a major roadway on the East Coast, closed for 2 hours. Now, we've been told that 95 southbound has been reopened, but only one lane on 95 north has been reopened. So that is causing still major traffic backups up until this point, now several hours later. We spoke to several people here in this area who are going down south. They drove past it. We are going to bring that to you coming up on WJZ at 5. Live in Cecil County, Avajoy Burnett for WJZ.
And as Avajoy had told you, what a mess, and we're still seeing delays, as she also had mentioned. This crash happened about 2:30 this afternoon. The northbound lanes in 95, southbound were shut down as well. Right now, we do have the center lane and the left lane still blocked in that northbound direction, so we are still seeing a lot of congestion. Route 40 is going to be the best way around, so we'll bring you up to date on when the whole situation will be cleared up. Unfortunately, that's just the beginning of our problems this afternoon. We do have some significant activity on the west side inner loop of the Beltway. There's a look at 70. It looks like it's moving along. Once you get past 70, it's going to be jam-packed until you reach 795. As far as the top side inner loop of the Beltway, stop and go there from Park Heights Avenue to Harford Road. There's a current look at York Road, average speed only about 25 miles per hour. If you're traveling along the Harrisburg Expressway and 70 very busy from the westbound direction from the Beltway to 29, Harrisburg northbound Padonia to Belfast, and of course accidents which include Ritchie Highway at Patasco Avenue and also Middle River Road at Philadelphia Road. So a lot going on out there, and unfortunately the situation on northbound 95, most of it has been cleared, but we're still seeing residual delays, so I can't emphasize enough. Take Route 40. It's busy, but it's better than being on 95.
Okay.
Good deal.
Thank you, Christy. Well, as the East Coast braces for a major winter storm, frigid cold has already created a frozen spectacle in Maine.
There is a giant disk of ice in a river near Portland, and it was first spotted Monday morning. Now, just days later, it's already drawing some international attention.
David Bagneau is in Westbrook, Maine, where the ice disk has formed.
If symmetry in nature is what you're looking for, welcome to Westbrook, Maine.
Westbrook is now famous for this spinning ice disc in the river, which is great.
I have a big question. How did the ice get made?
It is a whopping 300 feet wide. The frozen disc had been spinning on the Presumpscot River for the last 72 hours, but it stopped yesterday. That didn't stop the people who wanted to see it, though.
I was just speaking to my sister in England. I said, we've made national news. And she said, no, you haven't made national. You've made international. You were just on the BBC.
Now, a rare natural phenomenon taking shape in the U.S. state of Maine is mesmerizing people around the world.
What is going on here? It's Maine. The air is cold. You get ice.
Eric Fisher is the chief meteorologist at our CBS station WBZ in Boston. He says the rotation of the ice can be driven by the current of the river, but also by the temperature changes in the water underneath the ice. Eric says that creates a vortex that causes it to spin.
The shore in this case acts as almost like a grinding wheel where the ice hits the coast and it starts to shave off, and it creates this perfect pizza shape of the ice disc there floating in the water.
They're fairly rare. We may hear about these once or twice a winter.
Stephen Daly specializes in river ice hydraulics for the Army Corps of Engineers. He says while ice discs are not unheard of, the ones he's seen are much smaller, ranging from 30 to only 50 feet.
They had the perfect combination of air temperature, ice production, and flow conditions for this to form.
People have joked it looks like the far side of the moon. Others have said it must have been brought by aliens. The cold, hard truth is, scientists say this did not come from outer space. David Begno, CBS News, on a 10-degree day in Westbrook, Maine.
Yeah, that's what they told you, David, about the aliens. That's right.
It looks too perfect.
It's absolutely amazing,
goodness.
though.
Yeah, cool.
Straight ahead on WJZ News at 4, a new trend becoming a privacy threat. The warning from security experts about the pictures we post on social media.
Keeping their customers even after price hikes. Why subscription sites say they aren't concerned about charging just a little more.
No snow yet, but it's coming. Take a live look outside right now. Bob Turk has your updated forecast. That's coming up. You've probably seen it on social media feeds, the new 10-year challenge where people are posting pictures of themselves a decade apart. But privacy experts are now concerned, saying the challenge participants may be unknowingly sharing sensitive information. A new article from Wired set off speculation that Facebook specifically could be using your pictures to improve its facial recognition algorithms.
In the case of the 10-year challenge, it is this streamlined, organized data set that shows what you look like 10 years ago and what you look like now. And if you're trying to train a machine learning algorithm to learn how people age, this is something that Facebook could do. This is something that other researchers might want to do. This gives you a pretty nifty way of doing that.
Facebook says regarding the 10-year challenge, their systems are not tracking or studying this meme. Similar concerns were raised last year about Google's Arts and Culture app. It matched people with artwork they supposedly looked like. And coming up on all new at WJZ at 5, we are tracking the possibility of snow overnight and its impact on your morning commute. Also tonight at 5, new details about a deadly bank robbery in Montgomery County, what led police to open fire on the suspect. Plus, a new foal is born on Assateague Island. Why the birth came as a surprise. That's next at 5.
Well, Netflix is hitting viewers with the biggest price hike in its history. Soon, the most popular plan will cost about $156 a year. But as Nick Thompson reports for WJZ, no matter the price, Netflix and other subscription services don't seem to be having trouble keeping customers.
From TV shows like Stranger Things and Orange is the New Black,
Told you to stay on the boat!
to movies like Bird Box, Netflix has been churning out hit after hit after hit. While all that original content draws in new subscribers, it also costs a lot to produce, as Netflix subscribers are finding out. Its most expensive monthly plan now costs $16. Compare that to $12 for Hulu, $9 for Amazon Prime Video, and $10 for CBS All Access, offered by the parent company of CBS News.
This is the fourth price hike over the last 5 years, and people keep paying.
Financial analyst Rick Munoris says, Netflix is the world's largest premium video service, with nearly 150 million subscribers. Its membership has almost tripled since 2014. even though the price of its standard plan has gone up nearly 63%.
It's a monthly plan. It is something that you sort of just set it and forget it, like many other monthly subscription services. It's almost an afterthought when you're scouring your credit card bill and that $12.99 a month comes around. You're usually fine with it.
Minoris believes most customers will continue paying for Netflix.
Welcome to prison.
So long as the company keeps delivering hits.
There will come a point where people say no mas, but until they get to that point, you're going to see Netflix nickel and dime about every year or so and adjust their prices higher.
Interesting changes
It
there.
sure are. But you know what? I'm sorry. I think it's still worth the money.
I agree.
Straight ahead on WJZ News at 4, grab your shovels and snow boots. Another wintry mix is headed our way.
Bob has a look at when we can expect some of the snow coming up.
All right, cloudy skies in Glen Burnie. Justin checked in with 35, just above the freezing mark, which is not the most conducive atmosphere for snow, but it's cold aloft. The dew point's at 23 degrees, which means up there in the clouds, it's pretty cold. East-southeast winds at 8 off the ocean bring a little bit of moisture in, but right now, nobody or locally is reporting any precipitation reaching the ground. 34 at the airport, now 38 in Annapolis, and in D.C., still 38 in Ocean City and Salisbury. Out to the west, 32 now in Westminster. In Virginia, we've had some reports of some snow, particularly from Front Royal down to Harrisonburg, Virginia, getting a little bit more activity down there. You can see some heavier echoes showing up across the Shenandoah Valley, south and west of us. Eventually, probably in the next 2 hours, I expect to see something reaching the ground. A little rain southeast of us where it's a little bit warmer. That will probably continue. I don't think we'll see a whole lot on the eastern shore from the Baltimore and north and west. A trace, maybe an inch or two as you get further away from the Baltimore region into southern Pennsylvania. Yes, pretty good chance. Garrett County, up that way, past Cumberland, maybe 2 to 3 inches of snow with this system. Here you see it coming in. It's not a big storm, but it is moving gently toward our region, so we'll have to deal with this overnight. And it certainly may impact your morning commute tomorrow, although I haven't seen a whole lot of roads being treated, but I'm sure overnight tonight we'll see a lot of salt trucks out there. We had sunshine early on south of us. Now this batch of precip moving in. That's this low pressure. Once this gets through the area, we'll see some sunshine. Milder temps coming in tomorrow, back in the mid-40s, and then we look for the weekend. This low pressure developing over Oklahoma is going to pick up some Gulf moisture along with some much warmer air. That warm air will begin to move into our region. Now, initially on Saturday, you could see a little bit of mixed precipitation and then just plain rain Saturday night into Sunday. Once the low passes our region, behind it, cold air whips around. Maybe just enough cold air at the time for a little bit of snow at the end of the system, and then it clears out and gets very windy and very cold early next week. The coldest we've seen in a couple of years, actually. So overnight tonight, a little light snow, sleet, and some rain, 31 by morning, but rising tomorrow, back up to 45 with more sunshine in the afternoon. 39 on Saturday, maybe a little bit of a mix to rain, and then on Sunday, some rain, maybe ending as a little snow. 44 down to 7 degrees Sunday night. That's a big drop. 20 for a high on Monday. Wind chills below 0, down to 9. 34 Tuesday, warming up to the mid-40s for Wednesday and Thursday. Maybe a shower at the end of that period.
We're going to freeze in our tracks with 7 degrees.
Any water out there Sunday night will be frozen solid.
Okay.
Keep that in mind.
Thanks, Bob. Coming up at WJZ, Rick is in the queue preparing for WJZ News at 5.
He is following today's top stories, including tanker overturning on I-95 in Cecil County.